Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. It is our regular business meeting, and it is Tuesday, August 27th, 2019, and we are in the Joe N. Idelette Teacher Education Center. Joining us by phone, we do have School Board Member Terry Berenborg, so she will be chiming in periodically. She is on the phone. Are you there, Mrs. Berenborg?
I am, thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I miss having our junior ROTC. They do such a nice job. We should have them back soon.
Mrs. Orr, can I
Yeah.
ask, Mrs. Berenborg today during our meetings rang a bell when she wanted to have some input. Will she be doing that this evening? I just want to make, if anyone's watching, to understand what that bell sound may be.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And also, tonight is the first night that we had went, and getting a little bit off script here, but we have went to board docs, which means we're trying to get away from paper, and we're trying to do our agendas on the computer. So if it goes a little slower tonight, just know that we're trying to get used to, it's called board docs, and if you haven't went online and looked, it's really a good program that we're using now. But board members, at this time, are there any items that board members wish to move from consent to action?
No, ma'am.
No? No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what would that be?
I don't want to move, one, I just want to comment on one. Is it appropriate to comment on it at the end of when it's approved? Or do I need to move it in order to comment on it?
Once it's approved, you can comment afterwards, since you don't want any special action on it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So I need a motion for approval.
Move approval. Second.
Mrs. Justice, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Schiff?
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Berenborg, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would. On item G, the approval of professional learning catalog. If you'll notice on that catalog that was submitted by Mrs. Dampier, for curriculum instruction, they used 80% as a marker of success rate in all of their agenda items. I did not find this percentage at all in our strategic plan. So I know that we're looking at updating our strategic plan. I think that we need to consider that if we have 80% success rate in our curriculum and instruction plan, that should also be reflected in our strategic plan. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that feedback.
Would you like to speak?
Yeah,
Or-
I think that I appreciate the detail and the suggestion for that, but I'd just like to point out that our strategic plan is supposed to drive all of our decisions in everything else, not the other way around. So we shouldn't change our strategic plan based on the catalog. We should actually change the catalog based on our strategic plan. But nonetheless, I
Okay,
just wanted to make a note
then
of
Mrs.
that
Orr-
driving force, that the driving force is the strategic plan, not.
I agree with that. However, there's no percentage in our strategic plan at this
I
time.
think it's the
Yeah.
data, the data
It's
point.
definitely something that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Yes, it does. That's what my point I'm making.
Okay, points taken. Are we ready? Is that it? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. All right. we are moving on to presentations. Dr. Moxley, would you like to?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here, and those of you that are watching us at home, we want to welcome you as well, and thank you for taking the time to be part of our meeting tonight. I'd like to invite Kristen Maddox, our Public Information Officer, forward to come and do the honors. We have some great presentations tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Moxley. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a very special performance tonight because they're not here in person, but we had Osceola Magnet about a week before school started. They called me up and they said, we have this really cool thing that we're doing. All of our teachers got together last minute, and we have a song ready to perform for you. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. They're doing this team building activity before everyone comes back to school. And so we went out and we videoed all the teachers playing the gong. There was a gong. There was several xylophones and some drums, I think. But we have Janine Jones and Marianne Thomas here to tell you a little bit about how all of this came together and the work that was put into it before we show you the performance.
We also have Diane Parentella here with us, and our principal, Scott Simpson, is also here. Music is an engaging way to reach the heart of a team. Here are some comments from Osceola teachers who participated.
I loved having the opportunity to step out of my box and attempt something new with our staff.
It was amazing to see what we could accomplish in such a short time. Separately, our parts were not all that amazing, but putting them together, it really did sound like a piece of music. It was a great way to work together, bond, be challenged, and see results.
Teamwork makes the music work.
This helped us as a team come together and do something fun at the beginning of the school year when this time of year can be so hectic.
We were able to put this song together quickly as a team and start the school year with a positive feeling. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here, and Mr. Simpson, thank you for being here tonight. And I think Ms. Jones said that they practiced for a total of like 30 minutes, and it was around 30 minutes, but it was really cool to see like the different musical ability levels, because some of them were, very confident
And then we had, I believe, Mr. Dugan on the gong, who was getting the cue from someone else in the first performance, but then he had it down when we went back to record. He was doing a great job. So thank you, and it's really special to highlight that the week before school, the week before school, when everyone is, focused on getting their classrooms ready, and it's kind of a tense time for teachers to get back, and it's nice to just see some team building and just teachers kind of relaxing and having fun together. So thank you. Thank you for organizing that.
Mrs. Maddox, before you continue, I wanted to say thank you for stepping outside of your normal role, and I bet the children just loved it. And you're a very talented staff, and I did want to add one thing before we leave Osceola Magnet, because that is a magnet school for mathematics. And one of the statistics that I just wanted to kind of add to highlighting their musical talent of their staff, but this past year, Osceola Magnet, their fifth graders, 45% of their fifth graders scored a level 5 in mathematics. And isn't that fantastic? And 35% of their fifth graders scored at a level 4. That means 80% in fifth grade scored at a level 4 or 5, which is proficiency and above. So pretty phenomenal achievement. So on behalf of the district, please extend to your colleagues our congratulations for a job well done. And thank you, Mr. Simpson, for being here tonight as well.
I just want to take the opportunity to also highlight how important the special classes in our elementary schools are. Music and art play such an important part in our students being able to excel in mathematics and science and in English. So just wanted to highlight that. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mrs.
That's
Maddox,
okay, and
but
the
thank
staff
you.
came up with a name for that song, Ready to Launch. You can find it on iTunes. Not yet, but we're working on it, right? What a great name for a song at the beginning of the school year, so thanks again.
Thank you.
So our next video tonight, we have our Tech Ventures Camp, which actually was taking place at the end of July. It's our second annual Tech Ventures Camp. And last year and this year, it was completely packed. So there were 100 students. They apply and they are chosen through a lottery process. And it takes place at Gifford Middle School for a week. And they learn Office 365, OneDrive, keyboarding, coding, robotics. They go through different stations all day. And just visiting the camp, the kids are just so engaged all day long because they're just hands-on with this technology. And it's really cool, and we hope that you think so too.
The school district of Indian River County helped incoming 5th and 6th grade students seize the moment at its annual Tech Ventures Camp. This hands-on interactive technology camp has equipped students with some of the digital literacy skills necessary to succeed, all while teaching them the importance of recycling and keeping our oceans clean. Students learn to surf the internet safely with our digital citizenship courses, in addition to navigating the waters of Microsoft Office 365, Canvas, our learning management system, digital design, keyboarding, coding, and everyone's favorite, robotics. Each course built upon the next, so that students had the information necessary to develop their own robotics model that could properly sort trash and clean our oceans to help people think green and keep our oceans clean.
And Greg McDonald's here tonight. He's the director of IT, and so this was all accomplished under his leadership. So Greg, give a little wave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you do have a great team back there. For our final presentation, we have a special award tonight, and I'd like to ask Mr. Simpson to come on up. There was an exciting event at Osceola at the end of last school year, and we're finally getting a chance to come together and acknowledge the student who won a special National Association of Women in Construction Award. And I'll let Mr. Simpson tell you a little bit about that.
All right, yes, I am the principal of Osceola Magnet School, and science and math is our focus, but if you've attended Osceola or visited or taught there, you'll know that literacy and our Incredible Arts program really lays the foundation for our students just excelling in science and mathematics. I'm pleased to introduce two people that are going to come up, if you guys want to come up and join me. They are from the National Association of Women in Construction. They helped organize an event at our school called Block Kids. This is Ann Wood and Janice Ramirez, and I'm excited to let them say a little bit about the program and present an award tonight.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening. My name is Ann Wood, as he told you, and I am here to talk to you about Block Kids. Probably you don't know what Block Kids is unless you've been with Osceola, and I have worried the heck out of you for 20 years doing it. Block Kids is an event done by the National Association of Women in Construction, and it is done nationally all over the United States. What you do is you give a child, it's for all children in the Tri-County area that are in kindergarten through 6th grade. You give them first a bag with 100 Lego-type blocks in it, a piece of string. I didn't bring the rest. You could also give them a piece of poster board and a piece of aluminum foil. They have to build something with this, and it cannot be a person or an animal. It must be something more or less in construction. Then after they do build what they want to do, they are judged, and then we take pictures and we do a write-up and we send it off, and it's judged in the next level in the United States. Last year we did Block Kids at Osceola Magnet, and I'm happy to announce that the winner of our local Block Kids contest went on to win first place in the Regent. Now the Regent for us takes in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. So that's a big area that she competed against. At our events also, we have like a trade fair. We want to teach the children about jobs in construction. They not just going to college, they could also do some hands-on things. We always have some vehicles there, such as a cement truck, a crane, things like that. Then we have people that can come and set up a table and show the children something that they do in their job. We have had a carpenter, which would show them how to build a birdhouse. We had a lady one time who came and showed them how to make cement. We've had a plumber. We've had an electrician, all of these. So right now, I would like to ask Elise Hale to come forward. Elise, this is your award here for it, and you've got a $100 gift card to go with it. Okay, and now I want Janice to speak. Wait, Elise.
Hi, I'm Janice, and I work for Mr. Restore. We're a local disaster restoration company, and we were asked to be one of the sponsors, which I was glad to do. I was also asked to be judge, and Elise was at my table, and just seeing what Elise and all these other young kids came up with just this little bit of stuff that I like to step on, was just awesome. So I went back after Elise won the local, and I spoke with my boss, and Mr. Restore, Michael Reed, would like to present Elise with a $100 check to match as well.
I'll have another girl handle that part of it, so I'll see if she has it, and I'll send it to
Janice, could you come in the middle? We're going to take a picture. Would you like to get in the middle as well? Mr. Simpson, would you like to stand here?
Okay. Yeah, if we can get those pictures, I'll definitely put it out on social and in the connection this week. All right, ready? Elise, can you hold your certificate in front of you so you can see that? Oh, perfect. Very cool. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. I did. Sorry, I'm gonna get home up here too. And we will do that for sure. Okay, ready, freeze? 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Family. Do you want to? Okay, wait a minute. Family. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Great job. Thank you. Congratulations.
Oh, okay. All right, I'd just like to let all of y'all know that we've been doing this for 20 years at Osceola, and this year is no different. We're going to do it again. I will be looking for sponsors. I'll be looking for vendors. I'll be looking for judges. And above all, I'll be looking for children. Any child in the Tri-County area that is in kindergarten through 6th grade is eligible to do it. To get in touch with me, you can call Osceola School and they will give you my number. I also want to tell you at this time, we also have a scholarship that we give every year at IRSC. That's right, SC now. IRSC every year for a female taking courses that go with construction. And if we have any money left over here, we do goodie bags, give each child one. That's what we need money for. So if we have any money left over, we add it to our scholarship fund so that it's used somewhere. Thank you. I hope to hear from all of you.
Okay.
Don't forget your bag of Legos. I have plenty of these at home.
Kristen?
Kristen, she has a question.
I have a question. If someone in the community is interested in donating, how can they get in contact with you? Do you have a website?
Call Osceola School and they'll give you my telephone.
Okay.
Okay.
I can put that information in
I
the
hope
connection
they'll-
online as
okay,
well.
thank
So
you.
we'll have that available. And that's it for presentations tonight. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. So we are going to move on to our citizen input. At this time, we have 2 individuals that would like to speak. First up, I have Mrs. Beverly Rayford, and then I have Mrs. Liz Cannon up next.
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Beverly Rayford, Clerical Area Vice President for CWA Local 3180 and Secretary at Pelican Island Elementary, the best school in the district. Chris taught us that. I want to stand here tonight. I've stood at this podium so many times with concerns. Tonight I stand to say thank you. We have been concerned as secretaries about the single point of entry. Our schools were so open. Things happened, we were concerned. Now I am so happy. Nobody asked me to do this, but be it far from me not to compliment when I can, because I don't mind complaining. But our single point of entry is amazing. From beginning to end, there was somebody on campus making sure everything went well, and their teams, their support people that laid the foundations and finished the work were great. So they don't know I'm going to do this. I wish they were here tonight, but I'd like to thank Ken Singletary and Tony Rake from Kearns Construction. They were on campus making sure everything went well every day. They were asking how things were going, how's it working out. We started from viewing the blueprint. I was happy to be a part of that. If there were any concerns, desk height and so forth. And then our very own guys were amazing. Nick Westenberger, Mike Sturgis, and Rick Huff. They were there making sure at every step that things were done well. They made sure once it was finished that everything was at hand for me. They made sure doors were working, there were no squeaks, there were no problem at all. So I want you guys and the community to know what a great job is being done with this security and single point of entry. Our entire Pelican Island family are grateful. We're excited. We just love it. Our parents come in and they express their appreciation for the concern given to the safety of our children. Chris sent out messages and he prepared our family for signing in. He prepared our family for making sure your license are in order. So it seemed like it was going to be a tough process. It seemed like people might not be happy, but I want to say it is simply amazing. And I didn't ask my principal, but I'm sure she won't mind y'all visiting.
Well, thank you so much. Since we are able to speak now as a board during our citizen input, I do want to say this morning we had a very long, extensive conversation about we just finalized in the entire district. We just completed the last 5 single point of entries, and so thank you for coming up, and it's so timely for you to be here, so I thank you. Did you want to?
I want to thank you for taking the time to do that. We don't always get good news up here. And thank you for taking the time to share challenges and compliments. Really appreciate that. Whether or not people know it, we work hard on security, and we spend a lot of time making sure that our schools and our kids are safe. So thank you for publicly sharing the impact that that's had on you. I really appreciate that.
All right, Mrs. Cannon, welcome.
Good evening. Liz Cannon, President, IRCEA. In the past year, the strong relationship between the district and IRCEA that has been cultivated for more than 40 years seems to have been single-handedly decimated by our previous superintendent, and our current leadership and board are doing nothing to revive it. Negotiations for last year's contract began more than 16 months ago and are still no closer to resolution than before. We have requested dates for negotiations with little to no response. We have explained processes for changes to the TEP manual with little to no understanding. Now that the district has hired an assistant superintendent of human resources and has an executive director and director of employee and labor relations, why is the district still spending $250 per hour on an attorney to negotiate with a group of teachers? IRCEA passed financial and health insurance proposals on June 4th, 2018. The district countered June 24th, 2019, just 2 days before the special magistrate hearing. I'm not speaking of specific proposals, but rather the tenor of the negotiation process. It has been nothing but a disappointment. In your own board policy 1010, it states, in order to expedite the negotiation procedures, the superintendent is appointed as chief representative of the board for the purpose of determining negotiation strategies and members of the negotiation teams for collective bargaining with recognized unions and employee units. Yet, IRCEA, and for that matter CWA, have not sat across the table from anyone with executive decision-making approval. It is time. Time to stop all the discussion and take action. Action to resolve the 2018-19 contracts. Action to move forward so that we can finally discuss this year. We're already behind. Empower the superintendent to take action on the special magistrate ruling to accept it in full so that we might move forward. Empower your negotiation team to negotiate in good faith with the unions. Empower your employees to be able to do our jobs without fear that we will be consistently losing money or rights so that we can serve the students of the school district of Indian River County with excellence. Once upon a time, Indian River rose above all others as one of the best education systems in Florida. We can be the best again. But the only way that it will happen is if you put your employees first, so that your employees can put students first. Thank you.
Okay. All right. You pass that down to Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are going to move on to our consent agenda. At this time, I need approval.
Move approval. Second.
Okay. I have Mrs. Justice with the motion and Dr. Schiff with the second. Would you like to speak to your motion?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Mrs. Rosario?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mrs. Berenborg?
Thank you for asking, no, ma'am.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Dr. Moxley, would you like to
Yes, thank you very much.
recognize
Board
the
members,
individuals here?
yes, thank you. With your last approval of the consent agenda, our personnel item was on there, and you approved 2 new administrative appointments. The first one I'd like to recognize is Dr. Colleen Lord. She has served as the principal at Beachland Elementary School, and she will now be moving to Curriculum and Instruction as the executive director for secondary education. Dr. Lord has a wealth of experience and expertise. She's very fortunate. We're very fortunate because she has expertise K through secondary, and so we're very pleased to have her join us, and now we'll get to see her strengths being used to touch our middle and high school. So, Dr. Lord, we want to recognize you, and if you want to say a few words, please do.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank the school board members, each one of you, and Dr. Moxley, for your vote of confidence in me. I'm looking forward to bringing new ideas and that excitement and working alongside of our middle school, high school, and career and technical principals, our schools, our school communities. I have learned so much in my time with Beachland. They truly are an amazing team, and we have a saying that teamwork makes the dream work. And I've seen that play out. I've seen what we can do together, and I'm looking forward to expanding my team. You've always been there to support us. I'm looking forward to our curriculum and instructional team and working with them, and that confidence that Ms. Dampier has given me as well in taking this new position and just working with our community. When you watch the video that we saw earlier, that tech adventure, we're preparing our kids for the future. And that's part of what I'm going to be part of, with working with the principals and everyone and just being on the same key, but challenging all of us. So thank you for your vote again, and I look forward to a new adventure.
Thank you, Dr. Lord. The second person that I'd like to recognize is Mrs. Rachel Finnegan. She currently was the assistant principal at Vero Beach High School, and she now will be assuming the position of principal at Beachland Elementary School. Mrs. Finnegan, while she may be at Vero Beach High School, she has a wealth of expertise and experience at the elementary level, which certainly shines through in our conversations with her. And she is ready to hit the ground running. She already has her 100-day plan in place, ready to go, and working with the team. So Mrs. Finnegan, if you'd like to come forward, we'd like to recognize you as well.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairman, board members, and Dr. Moxley for this incredible opportunity. I'm looking forward to joining a school team focused on continuous improvement for our students and taking student achievement to the next level. I cannot wait to meet our little sharks, teachers and staff, families, and Beachland's community partners. The opportunities I have experienced the past 13 years have been incredibly rewarding, as I have worked with some of the most passionate educators, dedicated leaders, and the most memorable students. Serving as an elementary teacher at Vero Beach Elementary, a professional development specialist in curriculum instruction at the district office, and for the past 5 years as an assistant principal at Vero Beach High School. I have been blessed to work under the tutelage of two amazing principals, Mrs. Bonnie Swanson and Mr. Sean O'Keefe. I want to thank my husband and parents and grandmother for supporting me every step of the way as I start this new journey. And while it has been great to be a fighting Indian, I am excited to make my mark as a little shark. Fins up.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And I know that her husband is in the audience, and her family. We want to thank you and recognize you as well. Thank you very much. I also, Madam Chairman, I'd like to also thank the community of Beachland Elementary School and the staff. They have been wonderful to provide a lot of input into the process as we identified a principal, and I know that they are very endearing to Dr. Lord for her leadership over the past 2 years, and I thank them for sharing Dr. Lord with us now as we expand and go to the middle school and high school, and they are going to love Mrs. Finnegan as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we are on action agenda, and we did not have anything to pull for the consent agenda, so we are going to move to the approval of 2019-20 Transportation Service Agreement. Dr. Moxley?
Sorry.
Anything? Okay. Yes, board members, this particular action item is an approval of the transportation service agreement with Crossover Mission. They have some sponsored programs that pick up our students, and they have contracted with us to provide transportation. There is not a need for a certificate of insurance if that's one of the things you've looked at in there, because we are actually contracted to provide the transportation. So our buses, our drivers will be used, and we're contracting, we'll provide the service. They will contract with us to pay for that service. So that's what you're approving tonight, and I do recommend approval.
Okay, need a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Mrs. Justice?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Zork. This is an interesting topic. Last year, we had some conversation regarding the fact that the district had been providing transportation free of cost to some of our community partners. And one of the things that was a concern was that we had other community partners that wanted to partake in that, with using that service, and we weren't in a position to be able to continue to expand that program. So this is a case where now we have a new community partner, a strategic partner, Crossover Mission, who will be contracting the transportation services of the district. That makes sense for us to be able to transport the students, but I'm happy to see that we will be getting some money back for that service. I'm happy that our students get to go there, but as a good fiscal agent of the district and taxpayer dollars, I think this is the best way to do it. So I'm happy to see that we're able to expand the program, add in Crossover Mission, but still make sure that we are using all of the dollars that we are given from the state to the best of our ability to serve students in classrooms.
Okay, Mrs. Rosario?
I don't know if many people know about Crossover Mission, so I actually pulled their vision, their mission on their website, and I'd just like to read, it's just a paragraph, I'd just like to read it. Especially, this is really for those who are not familiar with the organization and what they do for our children. So Crossover Mission is a nonprofit organization whose purpose is to support and redirect at-risk youth through the after-school programs run by dedicated coaches and mentors. The program uses basketball as a tool to attract and motivate student athletes, academic support to monitor and promote achievement, and one-to-one mentors to provide local and world exposure to young minds. In that pursuit, the secondary purpose of Crossover Mission is to build a bridge of friendship and understanding between cultures, starting at a young age, which will help to erode the walls of separation, which continue to divide our society. So their purpose is, in the culmination of this vision, is to work together and bring unity and hope and inspire children. So I just wanted to bring light to their purpose, who they were for those people in the community who were unfamiliar with their organization and what they do. I'm proud to support this.
Okay. Dr. Schiff, would you like to speak? No? Mrs. Varenborg? You good?
Yes, I just know Crossover Missions is an awesome group, so I'm excited to have the transportation available to the kids. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we are ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Okay. We are on to superintendent report.
Yes,
Dr. Moxley.
board members, I have a few items that I just want to bring you up to date on. And the first one is about a parent survey of public school students grades 6 through 12, and it's about career and technical education. So parents, if you have a student in grades 6 through 12, they don't have to be participating in CTE at this point in time. But the state of Florida has a survey. We have put our link out on our webpage, so as soon as you go to Indian River School District site, you'll see the survey there. It takes no more than 10 minutes. And it just will give you an opportunity to weigh in on, we want your perspective on career and technical education, children's experiences, participation, your opinions on career and technical education. And the programs might include culinary arts, digital technologies. There's a variety of them, and they're listed there. So again, we invite all parents to take part in that. The next item that I wanted to share with you, board members, is our enrollment. We are now in the third week of school. Can you believe that? It just seems like we just started. Since we've been back together, we have done our 10-day count that came on Friday. We establish projections of which we staff schools on. And in Indian River, our enrollment projections fluctuate a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down. And so when you look at last year, and the state establishes projections for us, and that's how they build our funding. And so we want to be as close to the mark as the state's projection as possible, so that, that's how you do your revenue. Now, they'll do it in October during FTE, but I just wanted to give you a point where we are. At the 10-day count this year, we had 17,517 students. That includes charter schools. If you compare to last year at the 10-day count, we were at 17,597 students. So we're about 80 students down from last year. But our projections from the state and the projections that we had made, we knew we were going to dip a little bit, not significantly, but again, just to kind of give you an idea of where we are with that. And we'll be monitoring that as we go this particular year. The other item that I wanted to call your attention to, and I do have a copy of this, is I was contacted by Jason Brown from Indian River County manager. We are sometimes notified if there is any type of annexing or zoning changes, things like that. And I wanted you to be aware of one of the items that I received, and there's a map attached, but this is on the line of St. Lucie County. There is a subdivision that is mostly in St. Lucie County, but just a part of the northern end of it is in Indian River County. The access to the subdivision is through St. Lucie County. So it makes sense. And I don't believe there's homes in that area yet, but they're talking about annexing that into St. Lucie, but there is a beachside lot that's right on the ocean that's split. The lot is split right down the middle, and so that would then be annexed into Indian River, and then the 5 lots or 6, I think there's 5 lots, they would go into St. Lucie County. So that subdivision as a whole would be in St. Lucie County. The 1 lot that's beachside, they've done some comparisons, so as far as tax, there's no negative impact to us. It actually helps the property owner, so they're not in 2 counties. And as far as future subdivision, if there were to be children in those homes, that with that, we would have to leave our county, go into St. Lucie County to bus to pick up, doesn't make sense. And again, as far as taxable revenue impact to the district, it's pretty neutral. So I don't see any reason for us to say that there's a problem for us. You know, they always ask the entities that are affected. So I just wanted you to be aware of that communication in case you saw something different than I did. And then the last thing that I wanted to comment about is we do have a tropical storm out there. And thanks to Mr. Teskey and his team, they've already started the communication. They've been at an EOC meeting this afternoon. We are monitoring that 2 and 3 times a day when those weather reports come out. We will actually be activating our training to make sure that we're on point, ready to go. We annually update that anyways. I don't know eventually what it will actually be. We're hoping it hits the islands and dissipates, and we just have a rain, kind of a wind event, but we will keep you informed. We ask parents over the weekend, please, if you, tune in to our website, we'll do call-outs if something should be changed. But we anticipate being in school on Tuesday. It's a Labor Day weekend, but we do plan to be in school with no interruption. So, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. We are going to go to board discussion. We do have 2 items, board members, and the first one that is on the agenda is school board legislative platform. I had asked for that one to be put on. This conversation could be short or it could be really long. But the first thing I would like to do is have you pull up the amendments that were made on Friday. If you have those hard copies in front of you, the first thing that we need to look at is the timeline. So I put this together so that you can kind of see where we are. So it looks like this. You got it?
Which date? Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you need one? Do you have one?
I can pull it up.
I have
We
extra.
also have the legislative priorities from past years in the library.
I have. Okay, so here I put together a tentative timeline, because there's some dates that we can adjust, some dates we can't adjust. And important upcoming dates for the 2020 legislative session. So tonight, if you'll look here, August 27, 2019, we're having this discussion right now. But let me go through here and tell you why either it could be a longer discussion tonight or not. I have on September 10th, 2019, we have a school board workshop at that time. Tonight we can highlight, we can go through and highlight what our past legislative platform was, and then I have attached what other groups are doing with their legislative platform. We can look at some of their issues that they have, and but on September 10th, we need to, as a board, we need to come up with a plan. We need to have it put together, and ideally on that evening during the break, I could work with staff and we could get it put together to actually have it approved on the 10th. And let me tell you why this is important. September 17th, there is a deadline to submit the legislative priority participation request form on organizational letterhead for the Indian River County legislative delegation, which is with Senator Debbie Mayfield and Representative Aaron Graw. The committee meetings are starting on September 16th. So our deadline to submit so that they can have this information ahead of time so that they can read it. And then on the 24th, we have been, and if you'll see that, where we were invited, everyone's invited to come and present their legislative platform to the senator and the representative. And that is on September 24th. So between tonight and ideally the 17th, we need to have an outline and pretty concrete legislative talking points, because Dr. Moxley, we only get approximately 3 to 5 minutes, so Dr. Moxley will be speaking and presenting our legislative platform. But, so my question is, tonight, do we want to look at our past legislative platform from 2019? And have you had a chance to look at what the other organizations are doing?
Can I make a
Go,
suggestion?
yeah.
There's a lot of information here. The Central Florida School Board Coalition legislative platform is not included. We are a member of theirs as well. Central Florida Coalition, the greater
Which
Florida
one do I
is
have?
there, but Greater Florida Consortium is there, but Central Florida Coalition. And Mrs. Berenberg is here by phone. I would love to, if we have time on September 10th, could we allot some time, and I'm happy, I know this discussion, I'm happy to give up my time for it, to have a discussion just amongst the 5 of us to get into the details of this, because there's some additional information I'd like to have, and I would just like.
Which one are, Central Florida?
Central Florida, yeah.
Yep, and my apologies, I
No,
did think.
you did a great,
I did think it was, I was thinking this was that group.
That's fine.
So
Let me just say, though, however, I'm extremely impressed with the timeline. And as legislative liaison, I appreciate you taking the time to gather the information. I think the timeline is excellent. I like that we're on top of this year, because in years past, we've struggled to kind of play catch-up sometimes. And I like that we're doing it in this way. So I think this is a wonderful step in the right direction. And I would just like, on September 10th, if we could allot time to go over this in detail. We've been meeting since 9 o'clock this morning, so.
No, and that's why I said it could be either
Yeah,
short, or if you wanted to talk about it, we're here, but I agree, that's why I have on here September 10th. That time, I think it would be best, because I believe we could have a couple of hours during that workshop to actually really, and this isn't really the setting to have a conversation and discussion. It's very difficult when you're just facing the audience and you can't really engage in a
Meaningful conversation, yeah. And I'd like
So
Terry to be in person.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I agree.
Mrs. Rosario, okay? You okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Does
perfectly.
anybody have any questions about the information in the backup I have given?
I second what Mrs. Justice said. Thank you for being so on top of this, providing the information. It's great. Thank you.
Okay. I just want, if you don't mind, I just want to review real quick
Yeah,
some of this.
absolutely.
So what I did have in here was our 2019 legislative platform priorities. The Florida School Board Association, if you'll see, they had their proposed 2020 legislative platform. They're going to be finalizing that over the next couple of weeks. The Greater Florida group, they have their platform already put together. We need to get the Central Florida platform. And then the other group that sorta, kinda, Florida Association of School Administrators, they've put out their opinion. So you'll see that there, it's very short. And then I did not find with the Florida Coalition of School Board Members, I did not find a 2020 platform, legislative platform or priorities yet. I did give you a copy of what theirs was from last year, 2019. The Florida Association of District School Superintendents, theirs is still not out, but I gave you the copy from the 2019. And so I think we have enough information. Well, I'll grab that one, and if there's any other information that board members want me to go look for, I can grab that for the next meeting.
I think I probably will look at I'll just look at some neighboring districts just to see what they have. I think just because it'll be nice to see what theirs looks like, but I really do think you did an excellent job. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Can I request that if you do that, since we don't, we don't talk and don't know
I'll
what
send
each
it to
other is
Nancy.
doing, if you could, exactly, send it to Nancy so we can all get it.
No problem. Oh, there's the bell.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There is an item that I did bring up to Representative Grawl over the summer that I think that we should investigate because it's really impacted us a lot. And that is looking at all the different districts that are more property rich, that are not given payments in time to cover payroll. And so I know that that affects us a lot when we are in that approach where we have to consider a TAN. So I think that we really need to put that in one of our agendas to our legislators that, we kind of need help with that or look at how the payments can be made. But I also think we need to look at what the other districts are that are going through this and what they're doing.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that
let's
was,
talk about that on the 10th. I think that's valid.
so that's an area to try to research if we're not that familiar with it. All right, so that is my item. We're gonna move on if we don't have anything else on that. And I think it's Dr. Schiff. Hold on one second. You had the Sebastian City annexation for proposed Gray Brothers Corporation development.
Yeah. So while this would normally be under school board member matters, I think it warrants more of a conversation. I attended the Sebastian City, the Planning and Zoning meeting a couple of weeks ago, where there was, as it was reported, more community input than ever shows up to those meetings. There is a proposed development to annex the city of Sebastian. The property, I don't have pictures of it all, you can go on the City of Sebastian website, but the property is just east of Treasure Coast Elementary, it's west of 66th. There is a kind of small entranceway and then it expands into a larger property. The proposed development, the proposal makes room for up to 3,700 new units. Given what the engineer says, so the engineer did a presentation, the county manager, the county city planner did a presentation, which was interesting because it was the city planner, but was discussing and seemingly representing the developer. So that was a little bit confusing. In both of their presentations, I'm going to summarize a bit, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing it for discussion and not as a school board member matter, although that's probably fairly obvious. The property allows for almost 3,700 units, which is potentially 8,027 people. The engineer and the city planner say that with the need for roads, easements, public spaces, all of that, it really cuts down to about 2,500 homes, which is significant. It's significant. They are proposing putting in some new roads. They're proposing a variety of things to manage the ecology of the area. This is a hot issue in Sebastian right now. There is a Sebastian City Council meeting tomorrow night that I'll be attending, and I know a lot of other people will as well. There were easily 80 people attending the Planning and Zoning meeting. The Planning and Zoning meeting was not to discuss whether or not to annex the property. It had to do with changing the zoning to allow this property to be developed. So Planning and Zoning only was talking about whether they were going to change the zoning. It was a 3-3 split. One member was absent. I don't get a vote. The vote was taken again. It continued to be a 3-3 split. The 3-3 split means it goes forward as a no to the city council. The city council will be, I believe, voting on it tomorrow night. What came up in the discussion with the engineer was also that the engineer mentioned having spoken to a variety of community groups, community organizations, though there were community organizations there that said, not sure we got that call. In addition, I'm not sure whether they've met with us at all, and I have no idea if they've met with Mr. Teskey. They didn't mention it. But what did not come up in the conversation, which pertains to us, is I didn't hear any conversation about their working with the district on the impact on our schools. We have potentially 4 elementary schools that could be impacted: Treasure Coast, Pelican Island, Liberty Magnet, and Storm Grove. Where the development is, it comes around 510, which means that it affects entry and exit for Treasure Coast Elementary and Sebastian High School, not to mention security, not to mention while the construction is going on. So I'm not sure that we've had conversations with them about it, but it has a dramatic impact on us, both in our capacity and how we interact with the developers if this moves forward. I don't yet know if it will. I don't know in what form. But I wanted to have a conversation among us as school board members, because I attend those meetings. I attend planning and zoning, and I'll be attending city council tomorrow night as a citizen. Or if we have a conversation here about me bringing forward any school board recommendations or anything that we want to say about that, I wanted to have that conversation here with you all before tomorrow night.
Okay.
So I'm bringing that as a discussion matter rather than as a school board member. I just attended a meeting, because it's significant, not inconsistent, though, to certainly a different scale and capacity with what Dr. Moxley mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So I want to bring that up for discussion if you have thoughts, feelings, issues, if you've looked into it, all of that.
Go ahead.
I sit on MPO for the school district. I am a voting member. This issue was brought up, the annexation issue, not the rezoning, but the annexation issue was brought up at an MPO meeting. And there is some concern as to the way that the city and Sebastian and the county, some miscommunication and some concerns about the way that the annexation will work if it moves forward. As far as development of properties in general, when new homes are built, we are able to garner, we have impact fees, and those impact fees are meant for the use of building new schools, the impact that it does have on the school district. As far as any construction-related issues or any of those things, I would imagine those are just paths that we cross when we get to them. I don't know that the school district, and perhaps someone could correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that we would have any voice in whether or not they would change zoning. I think we just are kind of, we provide a service. That service is education, and we provide that service to any student that is zoned and lives in our district that wants to attend. While I think it's good to be aware of that, and I think it affects planning in general going forward for the school district when we make decisions about schools, I don't know that we would have any say or be asked about our input about whether or not that type of decision would be made. And I say that as someone who's involved in development and commercial and residential development and some experience in that field, then just as my knowledge in government, local government working.
I do understand that we do get impact fees. If we have any, we have to add any extra spaces. Who do we, Mr. Westenberger, do you want to speak to the impact fees or how they work? No? I know Mr. Westenberger's really.
I'm not comfortable speaking to that, but I am familiar with the MPO, the Movement Planning Organization meetings. When we do attend those monthly, Mrs. Idolette and I, they do forecast new subdivisions and housing developments as far as roadway width, road and bridge. It would affect busing routes, bus stops. So I am involved in that aspect of it. We do receive the updates in the facilities department when they do have the meetings. I would have to check with Nick to see if he's gone to those this year yet. I can't speak to that. I can only speak to the MPO portion of it.
Okay, Dr. Moxley.
I think the other thing too, that when I hear 2,700 sites, homes.
They're projecting out of a capacity for 3,500, it would result in about 2,500.
And we're talking about single-family homes, not age-restricted, I'm assuming. So one of the things that in this process, yes, we do get impact fees to create new student stations, but I also, if there's any projection about, usually you can get some statistics that we would need to start looking at of how many students would a 2,700 subdivision create that would be school-aged. And when you think about, and there's some statistics and ways that you can get to that information. I think why it's important, we're not a high-growth district that we're looking to say, okay, we've got to make sure that we have schools in the ground coming up to be prepared for that. But I do think it's important for us to know what's coming down the pike. When would that subdivision go online? When would houses be up? People moving in, because that may make some decisions on how you move forward with your facilities planning, master plan in the January, February, March timeframe.
It wasn't mentioned at the meeting that where I was about what the projected time frame was, so I don't know that yet, and I didn't get it, I wasn't able to speak or ask.
Two things, and I haven't had time to research this, but I do find it exciting, the fact that Indian River County, we need more affordable housing, and I'm hoping it's going to be something that, that our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, I do pay attention to that. And because the availability of housing is far and few between, it drives up the cost. So I'm excited on one hand about that, but also I know that we've had a declining enrollment at two of our Sebastian elementary schools, and so I'm looking at, we have plenty of space for elementary. We're getting ready to have the expansion that we still have on track for the Sebastian River Middle School. That's still on the capital plan, and we do have that flexibility over at the high school right now. So I think we're in good shape, but if there were any safety issues, and that's definitely something that I would be concerned about, and where the trucks are coming in and out, to make sure that we're on top of that.
There was some discussion about expanding State Road 510, County Road 510. But again, because the project hadn't been approved and the annexation hadn't been approved, none of this was firm yet, nor were there dates. And I just wanted to make sure that we're aware of it coming down the pike, as Dr. Moxley says, and it's controversial in Sebastian. So I just want to make sure that we are aware of it.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
Thank you.
tomorrow, it might not pass.
It may
You
or may
said it
not
may
pass
not.
as an annexation. I don't know what happens if it doesn't pass as an, you may know this, Mrs. Justice, if it doesn't pass as an annexation, I'm not well-versed enough in this to know what happens with the land. If it's not annexed by Sebastian, do they go to the county? I don't actually know how that works. So,
I think there are a number of different factors that will be considered at that point by the developer and the other stakeholders, so.
All right,
Thank you
well,
very
thank
much
you.
for that.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
All right, that was our board discussion. Last item, we're moving on to school board member matters. I'm gonna start to my left.
Thank you,
Or
Mrs.
my-
Zork.
my
Today,
right.
you're right. Today was a very long day, so I'm going to keep this brief. I was able to attend a back-to-school night at Beachland Elementary School, and at that back-to-school night, parents were coming in with the knowledge that their principal had decided to take a job at the district office. And it was an interesting back-to-school night. It was definitely an interesting experience as a school board member who is a parent at that school. And I had a very busy weekend, the weekend before that, with a lot of phone calls. I just want to say to the Beachland parents in general, I'm really proud of how they've rallied around Dr. Lord and how they are going to open up their arms to Mrs. Finnegan. I think her last name, Finnegan, fins up. It couldn't be more perfect. I can't even imagine. But it's an exciting opportunity for Mrs. Finnegan. It's an exciting opportunity for Dr. Lord. Beachland parents are great parents, and they're really taking this in stride. Beachland has had a very successful year. It's a really good problem when you're sitting at a back-to-school night and parents are wondering, like, what they're worried about isn't trying to fix the school. It's, we're doing so well. How do we keep this going? And so it's the best problem to have, to be honest with you. And I think everyone at the school just feels like they recognize their students won't always be in elementary school. So having Dr. Lord working at the district office, taking some of the great things she's done at that school and bringing them to all of the schools was definitely kind of a bigger picture decision. So just, my hat's off to Beachland parents because they've only had Dr. Lloyd for 2 years and they really are very graciously going to move forward. So that's really it. I was impressed and really proud to be a Beachland Shark. And good day today. Thank you to my fellow board members for really good discussion with Hazard Young and Associates, creating a timeline. Thank you to Mrs. Zork for keeping us on track and moving through the agenda. No, I mean, we made a lot of decisions today. If you're interested in how the search is going or any of the details, I'm not going to run through them, but I do think you should watch the workshop so you can see some of the different things that we spoke about. The most important thing I would say is we talked a lot about stakeholders today and getting community input and different stakeholders who we felt were important. We will be continuing that discussion in September 10th. So if you're a community member or a strategic partner or someone, you're probably on the list, but if you're not sure if you are, if you want to make sure that you are, please contact the superintendent's office or board members and we will make sure to include you. We want this to be we very clearly today, the board members very clearly today stated that this needs to be something that we as a community embark on together in finding the next superintendent of schools in Indian River County. So I'm just excited to hear everyone's feedback as we move forward through this process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. To my left. Do you want to go? Go ahead.
No, other than the planning and zoning meeting, at the moment, I can't think of anything, but I want to reserve the right to
That's
come
fine.
back if I remember something I've forgotten. I didn't check the calendar.
I want to take this time to thank Nancy for her work and everyone else's work in unrolling and unraveling all of the details with board docs. I know that she's very happy about it. I saw her do one of these a few minutes ago because now that we're with board docs, everything is online. And for those who don't know, when you come in, you can actually pull up the agenda online as well and just kind of go through it as we see it printed. And anyway, it was a wonderful opportunity to sit in the training as well. It was a short training, but it was very, very detailed, and it was definitely very helpful. So hopefully I'll be able to move away from paper because I'm a book person. I like my books, but I've got to try to get that way. Yes, today was a great day. Hazard Young, Atia and Associates were very willing to walk us through the process. There's still a few things that are still kind of lingering, but we'll get that settled hopefully by September 10th. One of the things that Mrs. Justice mentioned with regard to stakeholders, if you don't know if you're going to be one of those that we've kind of talked about, and she mentioned a little bit, and those were for, what I didn't hear was what they were for in this process, and not just for the input, but for focus groups with regard to getting that input through focus groups so that we can make the best decision possible with your input. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. And I also wanted to say that I have not heard, and now I wasn't here in previous years, obviously. This is my first year school board starting the new school year. So I don't know how many issues there's supposed to be, but I have not really, maybe less than a handful have come to my attention. I'm kind of taking the guess that this has kind of been a seamless year.
You're jinxing us.
I just want to hope that it really, I mean,
About hurricanes and no problems.
I mean, opening school year, not hurricanes, but opening school year and getting, everyone settled. So if that's not how it's been, I take it all back. But I think that in my humble opinion, in my first year, seems wonderful. So congratulations to everyone who's doing all the hard work. We're sitting up here. We're not where you are. So you all are in the schools making it happen. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And just, since we're talking about the planning for the superintendent search, can I mention the few dates that are not firm, but I just want to sort of give a heads up out there. They're not firm, so this is not, what? I want people to be aware on their calendars of when they might be called on to be, if they want to be at these meetings. I know for me, it makes it, the more advance notice I have for anything, it just.
Giving a range is what you're saying.
I'm giving a range.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, but for me, it makes a huge, when I get called for a meeting the day before the meeting, it's really hard for me to attend, even sometimes the week before. So what I want to communicate is in this search process, some of the dates that we talked about today, Hazard Young, I'm just going to say HYA, it means our search group. HYA will be coming back September 10th through the 12th, at which point we will be hoping to have focus groups and interviews with interested, concerned community partners, people in the district, so that you can just be aware that those dates are happening and the time schedule we're on. From those dates, we will be developing our leadership profile for what we're looking for in the next superintendent. And I want to make sure there's as much input and as much inclusion as possible in those, which is why I'm voicing it now. I also just want to voice one of the things we didn't talk about today, and we've talked about in the past, was a citizen advisory group. And we didn't talk about that today. And if we had been asked in the past to think about people we might want to include in that group, and we haven't gotten to what that's going to look like. So I'd like us as board members to have that on our minds, because I'm not sure when and how we're going to be able to discuss that and bring particular, specifically identified community members as part of this potential support group, advisory group, to participate with us in some of these conversations. So I just want to surface, we haven't talked about that, and I assume we'll do it on the 10th.
Well, also an important date to keep in mind is, I believe it's August 30th, the survey portal will open up, and there will be various questions so that the community might not be able to come to some of these focus groups, but they can still give their input, and that portal is opening on August 30th, and we will have that information on our homepage of our website.
I'm sure we'll communicate that
Yeah.
through Connect Ed and all of
Yeah.
School Messenger, I'm sorry.
We will actually build a button that says superintendent search on the webpage, and so if you click on that button, it'll take you to everything. We'll put the timeline. We'll also put on the front page the survey, so it's easy to find for people.
Mrs. Barenborg, would you like to, any close?
Yes, I have two items.
Okay.
Okay, first one is just to thank Janine Jones for her continuing to make musical faculty bonding opportunities for her school. She taught us to play those instruments way back in Dodgertown in the 90s, and she's still going strong. And I know it brings the faculty together, so I thank her for continuing that mission. The other thing I have is a statement I want to read. The statement is about a concern we have about board unity. And it's going to take me a minute, so just bear with me. On April 5th, Dr. Rendell and Mrs. Copeland received a letter from Fitch & Forbes stating that due to recent weak operating performance, our credit rating was being downgraded from stable to negative rating. The letter was also addressed to board members. However, I was not made aware of it at the time. On July 31st, the board held a closed negotiation session at 9 a.m. I called in at 9 a.m. and participated in the meeting by phone. I was not made aware of a comment that occurred before the meeting that indicated that our rating had been downgraded. The board members that were present, Dr. Moxley and Mrs. D'Agresta, were all surprised by the statement, but no further discussion ensued. So I did not know about that downgrading then. After that meeting, Mrs. D'Agresta researched as well as Dr. Moxley, and they found the letter and sent it to all board members on August 5th. I read the letter soon afterwards and immediately called Dr. Moxley and Mrs. D'Agresta to find out what we should do. Both of them were completely surprised and said that there will be more finance information forthcoming. On August 13th, we had our next board meeting workshop, and it was a finance review, and that was on the agenda for the workshop. However, the letter was not brought up by the superintendent or the board chair. Therefore, I felt that more information would be forthcoming about the TAM discussion when we talked about finance again. However, I noticed that there was a request for records submitted on August 12th by reporter Federico Martinez for, and I quote, copy of the bond rating letter received by Dr. Rendell in April of 2019. Copy of any emails from Mr. Fagan and or Superintendent Moxley to the board, and from the board to Superintendent Moxley and Mr. Fagan, read this. His article then came out on August 22nd, well before the board could discuss this letter together. This article quoted our board chair as being so angry that she could hardly speak. My concern is this. The August 4th letter was only sent to board members and the superintendent. I can't imagine how a reporter got this information. I have no problem with this information being shared with the press. However, I think we should discuss it in the sunshine, not in the paper. The article also quoted our chairman as stating that the board needs to discuss this publicly. I conclude then, if Mrs. Zork's feeling if she felt that, then why didn't she put it on the board agenda on August 13th? And we should investigate how a reporter got this information before we could all discuss it together.
Mrs. Berenborg, would you like to put this on discussion, or are you just making a statement?
Yeah, I think we need to discuss how, when there's an item that I think the board needs to discuss in the sunshine, how it's going to a reporter before the board can discuss it. Yeah, I think we should discuss that.
Well,
we need to find out how that's happening.
Well, I think, just like in the last meeting, you tended to jump to conclusions and you didn't have all the information. So, you know, in this setting, I also see that happening here, so.
Zork, I am not jumping to a conclusion. That is all the information I have. And had we been able to discuss this as a board versus read it in the paper, then I could have had all the information. But when I'm sitting here reading in the paper information that was sensitive and only board members and the superintendent were privy to it, I am concerned that reporters are getting this information before we can discuss it.
Terry, can I make a suggestion? May I make a suggestion, please? Terry, it's somewhat difficult to hear you on the phone. And when you and Laura, I think this is a valid discussion. I would just like to have it happen when we're all present on the dais or at a work or in a discussion session together, because it's difficult. There's a bit of a delay when you talk and Mrs. Zork speaks. Would you be comfortable tabling this discussion for the next time that we sit down together?
It's not a discussion, it's a.
I mean, if she wants to have it as, you asked if she wanted it for discussion, would you be comfortable with it being when we're all together as a group?
I think that would be perfect. I don't think this is the setting. Go ahead.
Mrs. Zork, if any board member has a question or has a concern and wants to have it put on an agenda, either in a board discussion session or on our business discussion portion, is that possible? We know that, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we all, if any one of us finds something important enough to discuss, that we have that opportunity, that we don't have to wait for you to do it. Is that right?
We are
You are
all
not-
equal up here.
You are not the person who really, you guide our meetings as chair, but the board members all have the opportunity to add items for discussion at any point in time, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
Okay, so Mrs. Zork,
yes.
okay. So my concern, I think we're getting away from what my concern is. My concern is that there was a letter privy to just board members and to the superintendent. And before a board meeting could happen where we could even discuss this, there was a request for this information by a reporter. I think we need to discuss why that's happening and why information can't be shared with board members first.
Well, and I think here, that reporter also had other information that they had requested. And I had conversations with the superintendent about this. And sometimes these reporters go on a search. So I can't, I have no idea how this reporter had that information unless he was just fishing.
Can I?
We don't
but,
know.
I mean,
But there's any anytime it comes in an email to us, it's public record.
Yes.
So there was nothing in that article, at least to my knowledge, and I was quoted in it. If it came to me in an email and I responded in an email, it's public record. So the information we received, it's not.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The thing
Yeah.
the thing is, and I'm going to back Terry up here, because the thing is that, first of all, I'm not going to call it the paper. I'll say 32963. And so, but I will back her up and say, it does not make me comfortable when I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to have this discussion now. I don't feel it's appropriate, but I'm going to, it did not make me comfortable, the comments that I read, that we're going to sue, you know, we have legal, we have extensive legal issues, and I'm not going to say whether the comments are true or not, because to be honest with you, I've been misquoted in that paper before when I've been asked for comments, so I can't say whether those words came out of your mouth or not. So, you know, but if you did say it, it made me uncomfortable as a board member, because I do feel, even though you may be speaking by yourself, to a certain degree as board chair or as a board, you know, in general, it makes us, it just adds fuel to this fire of whatever. But, you know, I can't say, to be honest with you, Terry, I don't know where they get the information, and half the time I read the article and half of it's not valid, is misinformation. So just the fact that we're discussing it at this point, to me, it's not, I make every decision I sit up here, I say, what's the best thing for students? And what I have decided is discussing 32963 is not in the best interest of our students. That's just, and I don't mean that, it's lovely, and they have a very nice crossword puzzle.
Okay, so Mrs. Orr, my final comment is this. I would love, I think as a board, going through a superintendent search, that we all need to be on the same page. We all need to be cohesive. We all need to trust each other. We all need to reach out to each other through Nancy, sharing information that way. And to me, it was very evident that this reporter got this information very timely, very quickly, before we could discuss it. And I think that I would love for our board to be cohesive in this. And moving forward, when you have a problem, when you have a concern, when something happens like that, I think we need to discuss it as a board before it goes out there to a paper.
And to reiterate, to second Mrs. Rosario, any board member can put it on discussion. I will agree with you, the comment about legal action was news to me, but that doesn't mean a board member said it. It means it might have been conjecture by, like, I have no idea where that came from. So I'm not jumping through hoops about it. It was something that got said. It does not appear to be something that we as a board are pressing to discuss. And I completely welcome you or any other board member to put any issue on discussion that they feel is pressing.
Okay, then I would like, I'll put that discussion matter on the next board member. Thank you.
I'd also like to, my memory may be failing me, but I believe Mr. Fagan mentioned something about this at an open, one of our budget meetings. And I believe, if I remember correctly, when we were talking about Moody's, that you publicly made mention of what was in that email or that letter or something like that, that it was sent out. It's possible. But I do remember you mentioning Moody's, and I do remember the conversation that it was kind of, you know, that the ratings went down.
I think Mrs.
And I know that you did. I just don't know if it was linked to this email. Either way, it was an open session. Anybody could have, you know, access to public records. Once it's out there, it's out there. And I would not want to assume or, you know, lay blame on any one particular person.
Well, it's been out there. It's been consistent over the past couple of weeks, so I'm not surprised of tonight's conversation. So anyways, I think we are to our superintendent closing.
I just want to thank everyone for a productive day. Thank you for your hard work. It's been a long day. I know we covered a lot of topics and a lot of details. So I thank you, board members. Thank you, Mrs. Barenborg, for being on the phone all day. And we look forward to a great rest of the week, and we're looking forward to some good news with the weather this weekend.
The optimism. I like the optimism.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
With
you.
that, we'll adjourn at 7:29.